we all know who's on the phone or on the webinar, and then we'll get started on just being oriented to participating in a webinar. But again, this is Donna Matthews with CIMH, and we provide the statewide trainings for local mental health boards and commissions. And right now we're getting started with an orientation to webinars so that local mental health board members can participate in future webinars, which are topic specific to meet the needs of your training needs as local mental health boards. So really quickly, I want to let Ken Baird know that we were able to deduce that the background noise and the feedback noise was coming from your connection. So whether that means that you're driving and you have us on speakerphone or what have you, in a moment I'll unmute you and we'll see if the issue has resolved. But I want to let poor Ken know that we've muted him because of the background noise. So for other folks, that teaches us a great lesson. One of the first lessons we learn in webinars, or in conference calls for that matter, is called conference call or webinar etiquette, which means that we need to be sensitive to the fact that we're on a call with many other people, and so even the slightest rustling of papers on our desk can sound like a crescendo to other folks who are on the call or on the webinar. So let's just try to think about that. As well, sometimes if we're on speakerphones but we're not facing the speakerphone, people find it very difficult to hear us because our voice isn't getting picked up adequately by our speakerphone. And then finally, sometimes with cell phones or with headsets or with other technology, there may be that feedback and that echoing that we heard earlier. And so, you know, we troubleshoot that as a group pretty quickly right on so that we can all participate but have it be effective. So let me see if I can unmute Ken and if we've got our feedback issue resolved, and then we'll get going with introductions. How does that sound, everybody? Good?
Good.
Okay, so Ken Baird, are you with us?
I am.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me though.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. There is that feedback issue that I'm starting to pick up on again, and I'm not sure what that might be due to, but I just want to make you aware that should we start getting some increased feedback, I'll let you know that I'm going to mute you, and I hope that you would understand. Is that possible?
No, sure, that's fine.
Okay. The other thing is, let me just check in with you. Are you hearing the feedback?
You know, I did initially, but I don't now.
Okay, and I am hearing it right now. So it seems okay as long as maybe you're not talking in the moment. So let's see how it works and just get started. And then I'll interrupt if there's any problem with us being able to hear each other.
Okay.
Okay, so I see that there are several people who have joined our webinar. There are 7 people total. So what I'd like to do is start with, I'm going to go in an alphabetical list according to your first name. And sometimes that ends up being the most effective way, just so we can expedite participating. So I'm noticing that Anna Mae Stanley is on the phone, and it is showing that she's on the phone and that she's present. And so Anna Mae, I'm wondering whether or not you want to just greet the audience and tell us where you're from.
Hello, and
okay, let's pause just for a quick second. Let's pause. I'm going to go. Oh, it looks like someone muted Ken, so thank you. That may have been my assistant. Go ahead, Anna.
hello, I am in Berkeley, California, and I am on the Berkeley-Albany Mental Health Commission. I'm the vice chair, and I go by Anna Mae as opposed to Anna. Hello.
Okay, you go by Anna Mae?
Yes, I go by Anna Mae. Thank you. I'm
okay.
Berkeley, thank you, and I found it a little difficult to get to the webinar, but I got here.
Okay. And was there anything in particular? Let's go ahead and just jump right on into it as we do introductions. Just go ahead and share if there was a particular reason that you may have had a challenge getting on the webinar. Was there anything in particular?
I just found the CIMA site hard to navigate, and I had a problem with understanding the GoToMeeting site. but
Anna Mae, you're breaking up a little bit from my viewpoint. Are other people hearing her break up?
Yes.
Okay, so Anna Mae, this is what we're going to do for on behalf of each other. We're going to help each other when we can't hear each other, so that we can, learn how to participate, so that we can fully appreciate what you're saying. So, can you speak either closer to your phone, or is there a way that you're communicating that might be creating a barrier for us to be able to hear you effectively? Are you using a headset or anything?
Using earplugs, and I'm at my computer, so I'll try to speak up. I don't know what else I can do because I'm not really familiar with participating in meetings this way, but I'll try my very best.
Okay, and may I just give you another option in case you want it, but it sounds like your voice is becoming clearer, or it's easier to hear you, at least from my viewpoint. However, you all received the invite with the link to click on. And included in that invite was also a phone number that, should you not have the audio capacity through your computer, or if it's for some reason, people in rural areas might have glitches with getting good connections and stuff like that, that there's a phone number you can also call in and participate in the audio part like a conference call. So for the future, that's definitely an option in case that's easier for both you, Anna Mae, as well as other folks that may also have challenges around, being heard effectively or hearing others effectively. So I'm just going to volunteer that.
Okay, great. I haven't been able to find that toll-free number in the email that I did receive. So perhaps I need to have that gotten to me again. And
now, right.
I can take care of that.
Yeah, another place where people can find this information that I'm referring to, which is the number that you can actually dial on your phone, is on the on the right-hand side of your screen. You should see a box that both collapses away from the screen so that you can see fully my Save the Date flyer, or you can expand it out. It's notable by seeing in the upper right-hand corner of your screen there's a red arrow. And when it is pointing in the left-hand direction, it means you can open up that box. If you just click on it, it'll expand the box and it'll show things like all the attendees who are present and so forth. Is everybody seeing how that function works?
Yes.
So underneath the audio part there, if you look down that vertical box on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a box that is labeled audio. And if there's a plus sign in front of it, you just click on that and open it up, and it should give you a dial-in number that you can actually dial on your telephone. So that's where you would see that information should you want to access the audio that way. And that's for both your benefit as well as other folks, Anna Mae. So we're just using you as an example, obviously. Okay, so Anna Mae, anything else you want to tell us about yourself? How long you've been on your commission in Berkeley? Okay. All right. Then why don't we move on to Burl Nielsen is on the phone or on the webinar. Burl, is that you there? And what we're doing is we're giving people time to actually hear me talking to them, and should they be on mute or have muted themselves in a different way through their own system, we're giving them a chance to unmute and learn that. Okay, so let's go on to James Kavanagh. And James, I think you already introduced yourself once, but maybe you can tell people what county you're from.
I'm from Siskiyou County.
And would you like to also explain to them how your affiliation, both on your board as well as with the CALM board?
Sure. I'm the present chair of the Siskiyou County Behavioral Health Board. I'm also active in the CALM board as the regional coordinator for the Superior region.
Okay, and James, you've served on the COM board for how many years now?
This is the 5th year.
Wow. Okay. And so the COM board, for people's information, that's an acronym that stands for the California Association of Local Mental Health Boards and Commissions. So that's a statewide association which is made up of approximately 25 members that are selected from throughout your counties. And on a regional level, you have representatives on that association. And the basic thrust of the association is to do advocacy on behalf of your local mental health boards and to strengthen the impact that you have on your local communities and statewide. So James is the representative for the Superior region, and each of the regions has a representative. And as well, that association, that statewide association, also has an executive committee which has leadership in its association. And those are all of those people, regional coordinators and executive board members, are elected on an annual basis at the association's June meeting. And I believe Burl Nielsen is now on the phone with us, on the webinar with us. And Burl, do you want to just greet people and say hi? Burl sent me, as the presenter, a message saying that she's there, and she may just be having some trouble accessing her audio. So whenever we are able to hear from people that may not have been able to access the audio function, feel free to go ahead and just jump in and let us know that you're on. And the way that people participate to tell us that they are here is any number of ways. On your control panel, underneath the attendees, you'll see your name and everybody else's name, and you'll see on the left-hand column that there's a green microphone. And in some cases, the green microphone has a red slash through it. And what that means is basically you've muted yourself or someone else has muted you. In the case of myself, we've already discussed how Ken has a little bit of a reception problem or something, and so I muted him. I've just unmuted him to see if that resolves. But if your microphone is showing as green, there should be no reason that we can't hear you unless you're having some issues probably on your end with your computer and your microphone. So another way of just letting folks know that you're present and that you may have something to say is in the column with the hand at the top of it. Can everybody see that? If you see where your microphones are on the left-hand column, right under the attendees, then in the 5th column over is a hand, a raised hand, and you can raise your hand to let me know that you have a question that you want to ask or to let others know. Okay, any questions so far before we move on to someone who hasn't spoken yet? All right. Would anyone else like to introduce themselves? And thank you, James.
Donna, this is Ken Baird again, and it kind of sounds like maybe the background noise has resolved itself. Are you still getting it?
I hear it, and I'll let others weigh in as well. I hear it when you actually speak, but it doesn't stop me from understanding you, but it's crackly when you speak.
Okay. I think what I'll do is try and call in then.
Yeah, if you would like to, did you understand the instructions on how to call in?
I did. I had those printed off actually, so.
Okay, well, if you want to try that, then we would love to be able to hear you and talk more easily with you if you want to try to do that at this point. Are you going to try to do that now?
Yeah, I'll try it right now.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Okay, would anyone else like to join in? And I see a message coming in from Burl saying that she is here. She can hear us, but no one can hear her. So we're going to try to troubleshoot along the way and see if there's anything that we can do. If I want to draw your attention to the fact that if you have a question, you can, in the lower right-hand corner, of your screen, there should be a chat box, and you can send messages there, both that I can see or you can direct them to be seen by the entire group. So feel free that if you're having trouble being heard or hearing other people, that's another way of actually communicating during a webinar.
Donna, can you hear me?
I can, and who's this?
This is Sally Raganette.
Hi, Sally Raganette.
Hi, I want to say hi to Kim too. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Sally.
We're both from Merced.
Okay, and Kim, are you calling in on your phone?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. And I think that somehow you had gotten muted at one point. I don't know if you muted yourself or if it automatically went when I clicked on Ken's. So I apologize, and it's good to hear your voice.
Donna,
Yes.
I have a problem in that I'm not seeing the little green microphone, and I don't see at the top of the Save the Dates page. Am I supposed to click on something? Because I'm really a novice here.
Okay, so what are you seeing, Sally?
I'm seeing the Save the Date statewide webinar trainings for local mental health boards, and then it's a page on top of two other pages, so it's only taking about 2/3 of the screen.
Let's see, there should be nothing else that you are seeing as far as, is everybody else seeing the Save the Date flyer?
Yes.
Okay, and is anyone
Yes.
else seeing any overlapping other information?
This is James. I did have that little column thing on the right-hand column, what you were talking about, and then it went away. And I do have the Save the Dates thing, but that's all it is. There's no sidebar.
Okay, so James and Sally, we want you to keep chiming in as well so that we can resolve any issue about you seeing multiple things. And this is exactly the kind of stuff we want to be troubleshooting and that we set up this orientation for. So quite literally, we're doing a practical orientation to how to do a webinar, how to troubleshoot participating and effectively seeing everything. So one of the things that happens is when we have that vertical box on the right-hand side of our screen, if we click on the red arrow to the right, it will collapse it against the right-hand side of our screen so it gets out of our way and you can see that Save the Date flyer. It should also remain there, though, with a red arrow pointing to the left so that you can click on that red arrow and it will re-expand it. Now, James, are you able to do that, or has the box disappeared completely?
It's disappeared, and I have a cursor moving around my screen that's not my cursor.
Yeah, that's hers.
and that would be my cursor. And
okay.
The reason you see it moving around your screen is because you know how you guys have that vertical box on the right? I also have my own box, and so we can all see our own boxes. But as you see me looking at my box, all you see is the cursor part of it because my box is not going to overlap your box. And so the only reason that you're seeing that happen more and that it doesn't necessarily make sense to the content of what we're talking about is because we're talking about just how to use the technology. Now, right now, all I have is the Save the Date flyer up. So if, for instance, you can see my cursor, you may see me circling around the Save the Date part of that,
yes.
The title of the document. And so let's just take this for a moment, and you'll also see that I'm now scrolling down, so that if I were presenting on a webinar, I would literally be doing stuff like this. We would be talking about these are the upcoming webinars. The first one's going to be an orientation of webinars for novices. Then the second one is this one. You're also probably seeing right now I'm in the center of the screen with my cursor under Saturday, February 11th, the Mental Health Board 101. And I'm actually holding my cursor over that hyperlink, the registration hyperlink. And so you're seeing that ostensibly I could actually be clicking on this, and that would open up a registration page for me to register myself for that mental health board training. And you would literally see me doing that because you're seeing everything that's happening on my desktop. And the benefit to that, of course, is the fact that as a presenter, I can be showing you all these multiple documents without you needing to have them in front of you, and I can be leading you through the materials as I want you to see them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to collapse this document for a moment, and I'm going to open up another one, which is, excuse me, an instructions document on webinars. And so this is, webinars are sometimes also called go-to meetings. And so this is a reference guide on how to, participate, join and leave meetings. You'll see at the top again, there's my cursor circling the join and leave meetings. So we can see that in order to join the meeting from GoToMeeting invite, you've clicked on the email, you've gone ahead and joined, you've prompted, you've followed all the prompts, and you've joined the meeting. So in other words, that's one option for if you want to join the meeting. Another might be to enter the meeting invite from or a meeting ID from the meeting invite, and to go to join GoToMeeting.com in that way. So most of you, I believe, use the first option, which is you got an invite because you registered, and you clicked on the link, and it took you right in. Okay, any questions right there? Whoops, went a little bit too fast there. So managing the audio, we now see on the second page, and I will be sending this reference guide to all of you because when you register, you provide us usually with your email address, and so I'll have access to that, and I can send you these documents right after we complete our call or the webinar. And so you'll see that there's instructions on how to manage your audio, how to join the audio portion of the meeting. See midway down the page, you'll see join the audio portion of the meeting. If you choose to join via your computer, you'll need speakers to listen to the meeting and a microphone to speak. But you can also, as we said, you'll see on the right-hand side here where my cursor is rolling around and circling this box, that if we click on the telephone part, then we're able to just dial in. And we don't have to mess with the fact that we may have difficulties with our speakers or our microphone through our computer itself. But you're still able to visually see the information on the screen that we're covering, as well as participate via conference call. And in fact, that's how I'm doing it right now. I'm not doing it all through my computer. Then again, down here at the bottom of the second page, if we want to mute our audio, there are ways to do that. We're seeing the reference to the green microphone. And now, Sally, I don't know if you're still attending to what we're saying right here, because I know sometimes people multitask when they're on webinars at times. And so, but we'll see where Sally was mentioning a minute ago about where's the green microphone and where would I find it. And so we see down here at the bottom of page 2 on the right-hand side that this is where your list of attendees are, so you can see everybody who's on right now. And this is what I can do to actually mute my, my phone. And then there's also the red arrow, which allows me to collapse that box to the right, as I mentioned before. Any questions about that right now? Okay. Then the other thing I want to just volunteer really quickly, just in case anyone's like me and you're used to eating at 5 o'clock or what have you, and you're going, oh, I know we're only on till 6, but my stomach's grumbling. In case anybody needs to get off early, or also just for all of us to know when we do end this webinar, what will happen is when you leave the meeting, there's going to be an automatic prompt that happens triggered by you leaving the meeting, in which you have a short evaluation form sent to you. I think it's like a 5 or 6 question, and it's just, check, fill in the bubble on what applies to you. And it will ask you to evaluate whether or not your needs were met in a variety of different ways by this webinar. And that's another part of what we're testing, is whether or not that's an easy vehicle for getting you all to be able to complete an evaluation, and whether that's preferable to us actually emailing you one and then having to have you complete it and then email it back. And just offhand, as I'm discussing that, that ability to have an evaluation immediately pop up that's pretty quick and easy to fill out, does that sound like a preferable way to get an evaluation after a webinar, to have it automatically pop up as you're leaving the meeting so that you can just complete it and be done with it?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Thanks for the feedback. And we're trying that out with this particular orientation just to see how many people, what percentage of people successfully complete it automatically right away. So on this third page, Now this is showing, of course, my presenter codes as a presenter, what I'm able to do. But it's also kind of informative, again, reinforcing what I already said about how you are able to mute yourself, unmute yourself, collapse your side screen there on the right-hand side or not. So any questions just about how you're able to right now be navigating around these and how you're able to mute, unmute yourself? No questions? Okay, is everybody able to see this document okay? Yes. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop back up the training flyer, and you're going to see my cursor do more of that little magical moving around on the right-hand side of my screen as I open up and make sure that everybody's. It's interesting to me that somehow folks do get muted inadvertently, it seems, even though I'm not muting you. So I'm just making sure that we see that everybody's unmuted and everybody's able to participate verbally if they should want to. So let's see. The other thing I want to ask all of you to do, just as a practice, under attendees where you see your names listed and you see right in the column before your names, you'll see that hand raised. I'd like everybody to raise their hand, and there's a button on your panel that says raise my hand. And there goes Burl's hand.
No, I don't see it. None of this is here on my computer.
Donna, I don't see that section on my computer either.
Okay.
Nor do I.
Okay.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to pause right now in this, asking folks, and I see Irene raising her hand, and I saw Kim and Ken. They raised their hand. But I'm also hearing that there are several of you who are unable to see that screen on the site. So let's troubleshoot how you can access.
All I have on screen is the statewide, the list of the trainings. That's what's showing right now.
Yes, me too.
And so let me see if there is a way to help you access that. And I'm sending a message to folks right now. And I'm showing you how, as a presenter, I am sending a message that not only my support person who's working with me right now can see, but everybody can see. And so what I sent her was this question, and this is how we can also communicate with each other, by the way. And I know you people who don't have your boxes open, this is probably a frustrating thing to you, but bear with me because we've just sent this message that says, can you help me ID how people can open their box on the right side if it is completely closed? Because I haven't had that experience, and I'm looking on my particular reference guide to see if there's any way that I can deduce to support you in that.
Hi, Donna. It's Katie.
Hi, Katie. Katie's the woman that is supporting us on this webinar. So, Katie, this is the group.
Hi. Now,
Hi.
the bar on the right-hand side of the, it's like a box, but it can be minimized, which might be the problem. And if it's minimized, then it's just this very, very narrow bar with several buttons on it. But if you're in the webinar, then you should have that, at least that narrow box, because you can't actually get rid of that box unless you leave the webinar.
What's the narrow box look like?
It has no words on it, so basically it looks like about ½ an inch thickness, and it's longer than it is thick, and it has about 3 or 4 buttons on it that don't have any words on it. And usually they'll have one for your, like your microphone. So there'll be a little picture of a microphone on there. There's a picture of a screen. And usually there's like a big orange button at the top that's an arrow. And if you click the orange button, that expands it.
Boy, I don't see anything like that on mine.
So Katie, as Katie's talking, I am noticing that in the upper right-hand corner of the box, when it's open, there is a close button where it says, if you put your cursor over it, it says, if I push here, it'll quit.
Yeah.
Will that, it sounds like people may have closed that to get to see the screen. Are you saying that if they close that and they click that quit button, ostensibly they would have been taken right on out of the webinar?
Yes.
There is a tiny X underneath the red and white X, though. Is that what I'm supposed to touch?
There is an X underneath the red and white X.
Yeah, there's a tiny little X under the white X in the red box. Am I supposed to click on that? Otherwise, I don't see anything.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
What happens when you click the red box?
Well, what if I go away? Oh, you want me to click the red box?
If you click the red box and you go away, you can still always log back in. So.
All right. I'm going to click.
And we'll wait for you.
Okay, I'll click the red box. Oops.
Is that Sally?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Nothing happened.
We're going to,
I clicked the red box. Nothing happened.
And there's something underneath it, you said?
Yeah, there's a tiny little black X. I'll click that. Nope,
But
nothing.
That's on Donna's screen. I don't have anything but Donna's screen.
So nothing at the top right. There's usually a
Nope.
little bar.
Nope. It's a
Nope.
plain gray bar. Nothing's in it.
Yeah, they're just seeing my screen.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, and James, what are you seeing on your screen? The same thing?
The same thing. Just what you have, what you brought up.
Let's see.
I have everything on my screen.
I'm
And
just
who's
seeing
that?
the
I'm fine.
and I can't read it's too small. But
Yeah. I have that trouble too. It's very small.
Katie, are you continuing to troubleshoot this?
Yeah, I'm going to see what the support says.
Okay, and meanwhile, if so Ken and, or rather James and Sally, we're continuing to pay attention to the fact that you're unable to see that box, and we're still committed to that. Meanwhile, I'm also hearing other people say some other issues, so I want to also attend to those. So folks who are saying that the type is really small, are you talking about for the reference guide?
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Okay, so that was something where, here, how's that?
Ooh, good.
well, that's better.
You like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Great.
And even that's even better, probably.
That's even better.
Okay. So what I
yeah.
do is, so that tells us that when we're participating in a webinar and material goes up, that might be something that if the presenter is not being astute, as I was not being astute and remembering that from earlier today when we did the 12 o'clock webinar, folks had given me that feedback that they wanted it at 100%. Then you are able to use the chat box that you have or raise your hand in order to get the attention of the presenter to make sure that your needs are getting met. So let's see, the only other alternative I can see, and I want to do a quick check-in with Irene and Kim and Ken to see if you realize that your hands are still raised and if you had any questions. Oh, no. Okay. And I do see that Ken has a question, so I'm trying to access Ken's question right now. Just bear with me for a moment. Now I'm going to go ahead and unmute Ken's line. Ken, are you actually able to talk at all?
Boy, that's really got a lot of chatter in the background now. And I'm
Yeah.
not really sure why.
Are you,
Oh.
Ken, I'm wondering if you can try using the chat box to send your question.
Well, I tried to. What I was wondering is if the people that were having trouble, if maybe they had inadvertently minimized the control box and it's sitting at the bottom of their screen in in the, I don't know what that little bar is at the bottom.
Right. So what Ken's saying, I don't know if Sally and James are hearing that, but he's wondering if if you had quit that box, whether or not that box might be living in your bottom bar along the bottom of your monitor, along the horizontal lower part of your monitor.
There is a little box down there. It's a little turquoise box, and it's got several little icon things in it.
That would probably be it. Does it have an arrow? Is one of those icons an arrow?
I'm looking. You can see them all, huh? Well, I can't tell if they're an arrow. They're all different looking.
And it's on the lower right-hand part of your bar.
Yeah, there's something that looks like it's a. Oh, there's a whole bunch more now.
Oh no, you're seeing my bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you're
not
still
it.
seeing my bar.
I'm seeing you.
Yeah.
I'm seeing you work my bar or your bar.
That's not it.
Well, I aim to share at least if you don't have ones that we can help you use right now. Well, one of the things that we can do in another minute is, and what I'll make a commitment to do is to work with Sally and James offline, but also to address this when we first begin webinars that we do in the future. There might be, for instance, a couple of tips that we share with people at the beginning of each webinar, and it might be if your box goes away, for instance, and we'll have troubleshot it by that time, so that if this happens with anybody, we're aware of how to bring it back. So that's one of the commitments I can make to you. I'm also going to jot down the commitment to make the screen at 100%, for instance. But I will minimally commit to connecting with Sally and James so that you guys get the answer about why that wasn't functional for you. Is that a workable solution for the moment?
Sure.
Okay, great. So the other thing, and I'm thinking that Katie is probably still on the line.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, Katie, Ken had a question, and so now, folks, you're hearing me talk with Katie directly. We had a questions panel that was on the audio, right above the audio section earlier today, and I'm not seeing it now. And I'm wondering if there might be a place where we can access the questions.
You can access the questions by going to your dashboard.
Okay.
And there should be it's attendance, attentive, and then questions.
Oh, right. Okay.
You should be able to click on that link with the question number. And also for people who think that the screen is, I don't know if you have enlarged the screen, but if you go to the very top of this column, right next there's 4 little tiny buttons on the upper right side, the very tip top. There's a minimize, there's a view in full screen mode. So if you're having a hard time seeing, you might want to click view in full screen mode, and that'll make it as big as possible.
I need to comment about something. I now see what you were talking about, and it's way over on the right-hand side. It's a red arrow, and then a blue box, and then a hand, and then a green microphone. Is that it?
That is it. And if you click
Cool.
that arrow, it should expand.
I'm going to click the arrow.
And then we're going to have you coach James.
No kidding.
All of a sudden, it's way over on the right-hand side.
Yes. It's very small, very tiny. It's on the way far right-hand side. And when you click the arrow, did it expand?
It went away. It just went away. I'm going to click again. There it is. It says audio, telephone, mics and speakers, and questions, chat, and all that stuff. Cool.
I'm envious.
And it appears that Burl was having a hard time also navigating her control box. And I don't know if she's still on the line or not, but for some of these, I think that it's a matter of playing around with the box when you do have it open. And you're hearing me do the same thing, even though I've done webinars before. Each time it's almost kind of like you know, it's new again, right? At least for myself, it can sometimes be. So I encourage you all to just keep pushing with your questions as you've been so assertive to do.
And also, something I just looked up too for people who had their control panel go away, if you click on View at the top of the column and make sure that the Auto Hide the Control Panel is not clicked, that would probably be helpful in future instances. So I guess it's set to default to hide it.
So
Yeah,
how do you get to?
Mine keeps
Go
doing
ahead.
that.
Yes.
I don't have that view.
So yeah, that's part of the thing we're trying to find for you. It's because when you expand it out, you get the column, and if you hit View and make sure that Auto Hide the Control Panel is not checked. And I mean, there should be a little tiny bar on your screen, and that should be it. Or it could be at the bottom, because I think you can minimize it.
I have to tell you, I can't find any of these things, and is this going to be available for us in writing? Can we get a written copy of what's on the webinars?
Of what's on the
This is not
webinars?
working for me at all.
Yeah, and who is this again?
Carol.
Carol.
I mean, I'm just on the Manage Auto page. I can read it now, and I'm not getting any of the things you're talking about.
Well, what we're talking
Sorry.
about right, yeah, no, not a problem. I mean, I know it's a problem for you, but it's not a problem for us to make sure to bring you into the loop. I know it gets frustrating too, so I just want to acknowledge that. So this is Carol Marasovic.
Marasovic.
Okay, sorry about that, Carol. So
Okay.
Carol, thanks for joining the call, by the way, and the webinar. So what we're referring to in our discussion right now is the fact that we have a box that we have in our control for the most part, which shows up on the right-hand column of our screen. And what it allows us to do is see people who are in the attendee list. It allows us to navigate whether or not we want to mute ourselves, whether or not we want to collapse the box, etc.
Are you
And
talking
so
about the orange, blue, yellow, and green icons?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we're talking about. Even though this attendee quick reference guide is up, that was a document we were looking at a little bit earlier, and I told people I would send to them so that they had it for future use and they can refer to it and read it and think about it and that sort of thing. So we're not actually referring to that at this moment, so don't be confused by what we're saying and what you see on the screen. So my apology for that. Okay, so it
Donna,
sounds,
this
yes,
is James.
Yes,
Oh,
James.
sorry to interrupt. I was just wondering if you were to just by chance collapse the screen you're sending out for a moment, as far as the GoToMeeting attendee quick reference guide, what's left? Because maybe it's covering up what you're talking about for me.
Okay, let me try that. So right now I've just collapsed all of my documents so that what you should see is essentially my blue screen of my computer desktop.
Yes.
And there are some icons on the side.
Right.
So that's all that's showing. And are you still not seeing your GoToMeeting kind of technology box on the right-hand side?
No. Nope, I'm not. It's just nothing but blue screen and a very tiny, thin gray line on the right of your blue screen.
Now that's something that shouldn't be there. Has that moved yet?
No.
Has it moved at all? Okay, so I wonder if that gray bar or line or whatever you're calling it, it's a vertical line?
Yeah, and it's the same color as the header line that says go to webinar viewer.
Yeah, I wonder if you can click on that line and drag it, and if you can open it that way. I wonder if somehow that bar just got so collapsed.
Okay. Unfortunately, the blue screen is just expanding when I do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I don't want to. We can talk about this later. I just want to. I was stabbing at that one.
Right. Okay, so let's check in with other folks because it is getting kind of a little bit later, and it's see how quickly this time goes. I mean, I know that this has been the most compelling webinar you've ever been on, but literally, unless we spend the time to kind of knock around and try to make it work and get stuck, as the case may be, just know that that was the whole purpose for tonight, and for this afternoon's webinar. And so, when things come up like with James or with Sally, I'm glad Sally was able to resolve accessing hers, but I'm going to stay committed to working with James, and we'll figure it out, and then we'll integrate that learned lesson into the beginning introductions of our webinars when we start doing them, so that if that happens again, we've all benefited from the learning. So James and I will work on that kind of offline, and then you'll see that come up in the future. We'll volunteer information. So any other questions offhand about how this has worked, how you've been able to view the documents that I had to share, how you've been able to hear each other, how you've been able to raise your hand, or mute each other, or not mute each other, mute yourself? Any questions around that?
Could you go over that for me? This is Sally, because I didn't have the toolbar there when you gave the instructions. Could you do it real quickly again?
Sure. So so Sally, and this will probably apply to Carol, because I think Carol joined a little bit later, so she may have missed it too. And there may be, let's see if there's anybody else who's joined. And Ken, I see you have your hand raised. Is that raised for a reason? Let me unmute Ken.
I was wondering if using the phone is a better way to go than the earphones and all. If that works better, as far as the static and all that.
I have found in conference calls that technology can sometimes be an impediment, but I haven't noticed that it's actually people through the computers that is creating the vibration or the feedback necessarily, although that it seemed true in this case tonight with Ken's experience.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But that's certainly...
Donna?
Yeah. Yes, I'm hearing someone say Donna.
Yes, this is James. I wondered, because the feedback was better, but a little while ago there was a rap beat coming over, and sometimes voices that were really intruding. Was that just coming in from somebody's microphone, or was that maybe coming in as interference? Do you recall if it was when we were talking with Ken again? It was after that.
Let me jump in here real quick. I just changed my settings, and I think because I'm now unmuted.
Correct.
Are you guys getting the feedback?
And no, you're crystal clear.
You're clear.
So Ken, you found the magical way to participate auditorily from your end.
It may be just I stumbled onto it.
Hey, take credit for it, I say. So let me, so if I can, I want to respond to what Sally asked for, and since that might just kind of be a nice way to kind of remind us all. So Sally, in the box that's on the right-hand side of the screen, when you have it expanded open, and is it expanded open for you right now?
Yes, praise the Lord.
Oh, okay. All right, so in the box it says the attendee list, which is the third one down.
I see it.
If you click the plus sign, it expands open and you can see everybody who's on the call. Now, in the left-hand column of the attendee list is a column that is topped by ostensibly a microphone, although I don't know that, I think I could interpret that to look like a lot of different things. And when you put your cursor over your microphone, it highlights as being bright green, and that's showing that your microphone is open and we can all hear you. And if, for instance, you should want to start preparing dinner and hold the phone to your ear while you're doing that, and you're rustling around and you want to mute yourself so you don't disrupt the webinar, you can simply click on that microphone and it'll put a red slash mark through it, meaning that you're muted. Now, you can mute yourself, or if I hear noise happening and we're able to figure out who it is, like with Ken in that situation, it happened with somebody else earlier today, or you're driving, for instance, you think that nobody can, it's not being disruptive, but then it translates differently for everybody else. I can figure it out and I can mute you, in which case I have to then unmute you if you want to participate. So just be aware of that. So is that pretty clear about how to mute and unmute yourself using that left-hand column with the microphones in it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now on the right-hand column, right next to the names, is a column that is headed up at the top with a hand raised. And that means that if you were to click the symbol on the screen under attendees that has a hand raised, it will actually raise your hand, and on the screen everybody else will see your hand raising. And then I can call on you, for instance, or maybe, yeah, there goes Irene and James are raising their hands, see? They hear me talking about this. There goes Ken and Sally. Geez, everybody's getting on board. There's a mutiny.
Mine just magically showed up.
It did? Did it really?
It did.
Cool.
I don't know how. Maybe you just got over the mountains.
Cool.
Yeah, and I just clicked it off. So anyway, so another thing that we can do too is down towards the bottom of the screen, there is I can ask questions and I can do polls, and so when you're looking at your hand raising, you can actually raise your hand. If I say, is everybody just about ready to get off this webinar? And everybody who's ready to get off the webinar can raise their hand, and we'll take a group vote, right? And so, well, it doesn't look like the majority actually wants to get off, so I don't think we're going to stop. I think we're going to be on here for life.
So where do we do that?
So that is, Carol, on the under the attendees list, right in the column next to the names, there is a hand at the top of that column showing that that's where your hand raising will show up. And you simply click on the hand button, and that raises your hand for you and for the group.
I still don't see the attendees list, so.
Okay, do you see the dashboard underneath your box? You see the first bar says dashboard, then it says audience view, then it says attendee list.
Let me see.
And folks who may need to start getting off the webinar, I want to remind you about what I said about the evaluation. As soon as you leave the webinar, you will have an evaluation pop up to complete. We would love it if you would complete that. And Carol, so are you seeing where I'm talking about in terms of the attendee list?
It's not pulling up.
Okay, if there's a plus sign in front of the attendee list, if you click on that, it will drop down the attendees underneath it. It will expand it for you.
I'm clicking on it, it's not pulling up.
Okay, then maybe I can work offline with you on that as well, and I can talk to you more about it as well when I see you in San Diego at our meeting. Okay, so any other questions as we kind of do a wrap-up here? Was this helpful? Was it kind of interesting? What do we think?
Extremely helpful.
Helpful.
Yes.
Helpful. Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything that could have been better offhand?
I appreciated the patience.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent patience.
Donna, this is the first time I've ever been on one of these, so you have been my initial instructor.
Oh dear.
Me too.
I'm so sorry. No.
Me three.
So here's the thing. Huh? What
I'm not sorry.
Oh, okay.
I said I'm not sorry.
Okay. So so those of you I've never met before, one of the things I have found in my work with local mental health boards and commissions is that, you're all just an amazing group, and I just am so committed to helping you to learn how to use this technology. So I really invite you to participate in some of the future webinars. I'm going to go ahead and pop that back up on our screen so we can see them. And I want to remind you that it doesn't matter what webinar we're doing. If you can't participate in it, or if you're having trouble with it, whether it doesn't even matter, right? It's important for us to know that so that we can help you to get the education. And even if you're frustrated, absolutely feel free to email me later if you want to and say I was so frustrated I just had to get off, and I can work with you to at least get PowerPoints and some of the meeting information. What we're trying to do is create a way for you to get information and be connected that does not require travel, and it allows all mental health board members from throughout the state to be on at the same time, not just from your region, not just from your local area, but throughout the state. So I just really appreciate you all joining us for tonight. And again, I want to open it up to any last comments or questions.
I have a comment. This is Sally.
Okay, Sally.
I noticed that there was anywhere from 7 to 9 of us, I guess 9 of us doing this right now. I can't imagine if 100 people were doing this at the same time.
Well, I'll tell you what happens. Oftentimes what will happen is you will all automatically be muted. There will not be a participatory part. There'll be a presentation, and then we'll work with you instead to submit your questions via the chat box. And in that way, we can manage the questions that are coming in. For me, I tend to be a chatty Cathy and a kind of informal kind of person. So I always like to, even if we have a lot of people on a webinar, I like to be able to offer that there will be times when we completely open up the lines if we're able to, so that people can talk freely in case not everybody's savvy enough to navigate the chat box.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah, so just know that whatever it is, you're not alone, first of all, in doing new technology, and that's part of the design of us piloting this year. Okay, well, I am going to offer my good wishes to you all for this evening.
Donna, can I ask you, is this link going to be available for people to pull up after the fact who aren't involved in this particular webinar?
We are recording this. So we will post this, and that will be posted on the CIMH website. And when I send you all out the information from, like, this notice and the notes on how to manage, participating in the webinars, I can also send you a link to where we will in the future have it posted. So there will be that.
And when will that be available?
I'm not sure how quickly we can get it up. It'll probably take a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Great question, Carol. Thank you. Okay, anybody else want to just say goodnight or anything like that?
Thank you
Donna,
very much.
this is Ken again.
Okay,
and
Ken?
I just wanted to, one, thank you for this, and two, I'm looking ahead at the subject matter that's coming up. I would like to encourage my board, other board members to join in. Is that going to be available to everyone, or did you have to participate in this first?
No, all of these are open to whomever wants to join in.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody, and thank you again for participating. Look to get an email from me with the information I said I would share, and we'll look forward to seeing you on future webinars. Good night.
Thank you.